Hello, everyone. Here we are to celebrate this milestone. Um, Hopefully, you're able to join me here and ask some questions. Put it down in the comments here. Where are you watching from? You know, it's been quite a journey, and we have. Oh, whoops! There I am, double because I was looking there on the thing. Um, anyway, so yeah, put your question. I have some questions lined up, just some things. I was going back through the channel, through the comments, and some questions that just didn't, because there's so many in the audience now. It's hard to get to every single question. So I was going back through to see if there was any that I had not yet answered, some good ones. And I have a little bit of a list here, but if you have a question, love answering the questions, put it down in the comments down there and would love to answer it. And I have on my Stanley Cup champions shirt. I realized this morning, it is 10 a.m. here in the central United States. I realized this morning that I started YouTube about a month after this happened, 2019. Yeah, it's been 6 years. Okay, it was like July of 2019. Jumped in, posted my first video in August. That was on a completely different channel, completely different idea, and then started the cello channel here in 2020, and really got going consistently here, posting a lot of YouTube shorts, a lot of educational shorts, which you guys have been watching. It's wonderful, and got started with that in like January 2021. Thank you, David, watching there. I haven't been live streaming lately. I gotta wait, hold on. How do I? Woohoo! Appreciate that. appreciate the comment. How do I add it to the broadcast? That's okay. All right. Anyway, I appreciate that so much. Yeah, I appreciate that. You guys have been wonderful. Oh, there's the button. There it is. Woohoo! I found it. Maybe I should live stream more often these days. I haven't been on here live, which is why I'm excited to be here, to answer some questions and talk about this journey. I did talk for a long time. I was up in the middle of the night to see if I could watch it roll over. It's funny. I was on here for like 40 minutes, and then I decided to stop. It was getting late, and it was already late. And it actually rolled over about 10 minutes after I stopped. Anyway, so that's where the picture came from. It says, I just found your cello channel, got my cello yesterday. It feels fated to be here. Love your oh, thank you so much. That's great. Yeah, let me know where you guys are watching from there in the world. It's exciting when we get started on this. All right. I love beginners. I mean, I love all of it. But I love helping cellists get started. It really is one of my favorite things, because it's like the most important, right? To get right, that we don't have bad habits and we get set up right with chairs and in pin links and everything in between. Yeah, it is definitely near and dear to my heart. People who are just getting started here on this. But of course, I have, from sixth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, all the way up through now senior in high school, and have had some adults in the studio as well. But yeah, all right. Let's do some questions here. I gathered some good ones here, like I said, from the comments, just some that I have not yet gotten around to. I'm going to start the talk with the most recent one. One question was, what kind of tuner do you use? I tune mine to 440. Yes, this is like a hot topic. Yeah. Oh, San Francisco and Portland. Awesome. Actually, the String Teacher Conference is going to be in San Francisco this next year in 2026. I'm very excited about that. I've never been to San Francisco, and I'm looking forward to going. Yeah. I don't remember which part. I don't remember where the conference actually is. It's the American String Teacher Association. I don't know that it's ever been in. I think it's been out west before in the last 10 years since I've been going kind of regularly here over the last decade. Because I'm trying to think, did I ever go? I don't think I ever went when I was a teacher in Alabama, but I've now been 3 or 4 times now since teaching in St. Louis. It's such a great conference. I mean, it's for string teachers. It's for all the string people. It's fantastic. So engaging. So this goes viral. Fantastic. Love it. All right. The question on the floor was, it's going to be very cool to be in San Francisco. What kind of tuner do you use? Yes, I actually, at some point, all of us should be learning to tune by ear. All right. So when students are in the studio, when I'm tuning up, where'd my A go? I'm just playing the A off still my favorite, the Seiko, right? It's nice and loud. Plays every pitch on the cello. So if you ever just want to spot check a particular note, like this thing, wait, hold on. You can change the frequency. So somebody was asking about there's like a glare there, sorry. Somebody was asking about like 440 or whatever. Some people will tune to, so you can do it like down if you want to do something like, it skips to 415. See that? That's like Baroque stuff. Some people love to tune to 442 because it's considered the real A. And, at some point, without going into the complete history here, it's like the standardization of any industry, and they decided that 440 was like the standard A back, a few decades ago. Like this one, this one goes up to 446. So if you go super high, you're getting into some kind of obscure tunings, but 442 or 440 are both acceptable. A lot of people tune to 442. Why do I still tune to 440? That's a great question. Why have I not made the switch to 442? I don't know. There was one year I did it in class, and I changed all the tuners to 442. I guess I'm still on 440 because, now we're using makemusic.com a lot in class, right? Which is all 440, right? It's all still very old standard, as far as listening to students, because that gives you feedback about your pitch, yes? And maybe that's definitely a good reason so that I stay consistent between here and school and studio and everything else. So yeah, I still use 440. I don't use a tuner like something that has a needle because, everybody should try to graduate towards, as I was about to say, and then I interrupted myself, hearing the A, tuning up your A string, getting the rest of the strings in tune, hearing the open fifths. Yeah, that's what everybody should be trying to do. And I do have a video on the channel all about tuning and how to tune by ear, how to use the tuner. All right, if you go that route, because there's lots of free options out there and they all kind of work the same way. I don't know that there's, like maybe back at some point, electronics were kind of unreliable in that way, but I doubt that that's the case these days. I mean, everything that's on your phone is going to work really well. As a matter of fact, I use my phone all the time. If I don't have anything else available, I'll get out my phone and use the tuner app. And it's still the free tuner app that I've had for like the last 10 years or something, excuse me. So yeah. But that's what I do. That's what I do to tune up. Okay. You can use also, like in class, we have these little pickup things that you can clip to the bridge, but that's really, only for class because that's a noisy environment and you have like 30 people trying to tune up in this very loud room. So we have these little clip-on pickup mics that you can use to help you get tuned up. All right. Seiko, still my number one for tuning up. Okay. And what you could do is if, you're like in between, like you really want to move towards tuning by ear, but you're not real comfortable tuning the fifths, but you don't want to go just the, the needle route. What you could do is, like I said, this plays an A. It has such a all right, you just hit this button here. You hit the pitch button. whoa. Sorry about the glare. And then see, it can change the note, right? So I'm going to go down. Oops, I'm going up. I want to go down to, and you could tune up the individual strings, which is actually what I do now when I do tapes. So there's the D string, yeah. And then actually it will play, are you ready for this? The open G, and it will actually go all the way down to the open C string. That's a little hard to hear because it just sounds like, it's like bees buzzing, right? Anyway, so you could tune the individual strings by ear. And this is a great way to get started, just tuning by ear. All right, I should probably update my video to say that. Okay, that was a long answer. But it's a great question. Like, how do we tune up? What are we using to tune up out there? All right. Next, I'm going to look over here in the comments, see if anybody's put a question over here. Somebody commented, I will be getting, of course, they might already have it by now, but it's still an interesting question to answer because I was dealing with this with a student the other day. Now, this might be probably an adult, but it's still worth talking about. I'm going to be getting a cello soon, and I am an older adult, but know how to play several instruments. I am between 5'5" and 5.5 inches tall. What size cello should I get? I mean, really, if you're an adult, probably should be getting a full size, because at some point everybody's got to learn to play on a larger instrument, unless you can get your hands on a 7/8, right? There's a lot of people that play 7/8. There's a lot of wonderful sounding 7/8 cellos out there. But one of the things that comes to mind, because I teach a lot of different age ranges, is that sometimes people are a certain height, but we're all different as far as like how much of that height is in our legs and how much of that height is in our torso, right? So I am, kind of short-waisted. A lot of my height, more of my height is in my legs, right? And so that's why I still to this day turn on the cello, because there's no way for me to get perfectly set up and get this peg behind me unless I'm off to the side. And most people are off to the side like this anyway, because it helps us get more power out the tip and the upper half of the bow. All right, so to answer your question, it's like if you're going just by height, well, it depends. How tall are you in the torso here, in the upper part of yourself, and how tall are you in the legs, right? That's why in the video, right, when we do the cello sizing video, oops, what am I running over here? Time to clean up the office. 3 points of contact, right? 3 points of contact, right? Chest, right? Solar plexus here, all right. Sternum, right? Knee, right? Like, where's all this stuff hitting me? And also, what kind of chair am I sitting in to help get these 3 points of contact correct, okay? All of that goes into play when we're talking about what size. And actually, there's a great episode on Cello Sherpa podcast. While I'm here talking to you, I'll put in a shameless plug. I am going to be, so he releases that every other Friday. The one that came out yesterday is absolutely wonderful. Albin Gerhardt, one of the great cellists of the world. But in 2 weeks, it is going to be myself, there on the Cello Sherpa podcast. It's fantastic. I hope you guys are all able to listen to it. It's a great interview. It's a great time with Joel. But one of the episodes back there in the archives is Stephanie Voss, who is a luthier there in Atlanta. And they're having a great discussion about different neck lengths, like, getting an instrument that has the right body size to it to fit you, but then maybe you need a little bit shorter or longer neck. Now, these kind of like custom instruments, can be hard to come by, but they do exist out there. And if you have the means to go and find one or visit a shop, not every, it's not black and white. Not every single instrument is exactly the same with the exact same body and the exact same neck length. And so, you have to play a lot of them. You probably need a teacher, somebody to go with you to be able to sit down and say, yes, this is a great cello for your height, for your body type. Okay. Because we're all, different lengths and heights and shapes and all that, and it all goes into play, deciding on an instrument that's going to fit me. Now, I mean, we're talking millimeters and centimeters here, but it does make a difference. It does make a difference. So, the short answer is try lots of cellos, and then the second part of that is see what options are available if you feel like you need something with a specialty size, like a 7/8 or a different neck length or something like that. Mine actually is a bit smaller. It's not a 7/8, it's a full-size cello, but it's not like, it's more the what they call the Stradivarius model, right? It's kind of slimmed down. It's not the Montagnana or the Gofriller type, huge bodied, thick instruments. Okay, it is a little on the smaller side because I'm a pretty average height person. Yeah. All right. Other questions? Love talking about this stuff. Could just go on and on. All right. That's why we have the channel, because I love doing it. Love talking to you guys about all these things. Somebody, this is Mr. McDermott, who's become a big fan of the channel here. Shout out to Matthew there, who put a big long list of questions in here. Actually, some of these I think I answered in a video recently. It says, what technique or techniques do you have to utilize to remember a piece, especially long pieces? I actually answered some of this in the memorization video recently. Phrases are big, and I saw this reiterated from one of my fellow cellists on Facebook the other day, who actually has students make a kind of like phrasing memory map, right? Where it's like 4-measure phrase, and then this other group, and it was like all slurred together, and it had all these different numbers of the different phrases and kind of pieced together and look in this little number map thing. It was fantastic. But you can't go read somebody else's. You got to make your own. That's part of the process of memorization, is that you go into the piece and you make these connections to the music. Yes, that's what helps you remember it. Is that as we're cycling through and making connections and doing all the stuff to figure out how this piece of music works, it gets put away in the long-term memory in the special place that helps us recall it. Let's see. How much time do you typically set aside to learn a piece to perform? Oh boy. Having a full-time studio job and 2 children and a wife who, actually my wife got a new job. She's working in Minnesota now at St. Olaf. It's very exciting. It's going to be very interesting for our family, but she is there working 8 hours away at the beginning of the week, and still the concertmaster of Cedar Rapids. So learning a piece of music at the moment, all right, like I said, the last time I did actually have a chance to learn a piece of music. Gosh, we had a good couple of months, I think, to put that little Brahms trio together. And it was just one movement, and I was making sure that I was getting at least, it wasn't too terribly difficult, but I was making sure I got in at least a good, 15, 20 minutes of good, hard, dedicated practice, just on the spots that I needed the most work on, right, over a couple of months. So, because I know when I'm talking to students and they tell me they're only practicing 15 or 20 minutes a day, it's like, well, you got to up that. Of course, back in college when I was practicing 2 and 3 hours a day and, developing some of these skills. And so that's why I could sit down for 20 minutes and get a lot done. I wish I could have used a lot more. I wish I could have had a solid 45 minutes every single day to really polish that trio up. I think it would have been even better, but it was still a great performance. And some of those things that I did for the trio actually are going to come in a video down the road where I talk about stage fright and getting nervous, because that was one of the first performances ever where I did not get nervous on stage. I was actually very comfortable and had a lot of fun, and learned a lot from it. So yeah, I wish I was playing more is part of the answer to that question, so that I could have a better answer to this question, but also because I do miss performing. But I know I'll get back to it. It's just this season of life here, but it's awesome. Okay, let's see. Dun dun dun. Oh, this next part here. What technique or techniques do you utilize to then recall or perform the piece? I've heard that some cellists are listening to the pieces as they perform them. I've heard some say that they rely on muscle memory. Others envision the score. Yes. What do you do? That's an interesting question. And actually part of it goes back to how much time did you have to spend on it? You know, here's one train of thought. When you speak, you know, do you hear every single word before you say it? No, you don't, right? You're able to communicate and words come out that you did not hear in your head, right? It would be great if music and playing the cello were the same way, that we were able just to express musical thought that we've so internalized. It's so close to us, so second nature, that we're just, it's like speaking, right? It's just coming out of us. Do we have that luxury as often as we would like? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, it depends on how many times you've played the piece. You know, Yo-Yo Ma, who's played Dvorak Cello Concerto literally 1,000 times, it's probably like speaking, right? He's not having to hear every single note. When I was playing my Brahms trio back in the spring that I was just telling you guys about, oh, I was hearing every note before I played. there was no way I was going to make it through the performance unless I was really being proactive and thinking about what I was about to play. And this brings up something else that occurs to me. It's like, you know, it's real easy to check out while you're playing and not be thinking about, you know, not hearing it in our head before we play it. Because I think part of that is that we don't necessarily hear the difference live in the moment, right? If we're not thinking about the pitch before we play it, then we have no frame of reference. And so we play it and it sounds correct, right? Or we did hear it in our head and our finger went to that place because we had our head and then it sounds correct. It's like it sounds correct no matter what. Either we didn't catch the mistake because we weren't thinking about it, or we were proactive and we thought about it and we played the right note. In either case, it gets passed off as, oh, I did that right. And so we don't necessarily, I think we're kind of slow to get on the proactive train because we aren't consciously in the moment aware of the difference. But to the people around us, right? To the people listening to us, the people that are playing with us, oh, they notice. Oh, they notice. I do have a very vivid memory of an orchestra concert. We did the dress rehearsal, and it was a pared down orchestra. There's just 4 cellos. It was me and another person in the back, and the front stand just raked us across the coals for not listening, for not playing along, for being out of tune. And it was like, well, but I was playing along, you know. And in effect, I was, you know, playing all the right rhythms, fingers are going all the right places, but it was just like they were, you know, it was just horribly wrong. So then during the concert, you know, we both got on board back there and really focused our attention on the front stand so that we could be more proactive and play along to them and make our pitches match. And it's like, and I hang on to that memory because to me, the dress rehearsal and the performance, you know, hate to confess it, were kind of the same. But to them up there listening to us there in the front, oh, it was night and day difference, right? Like they were so pleased and they were so complimentary, you know, like, oh, that was so much better. You know, thank you for listening better. Thank you for playing along better. Okay. So, I hope that answers the question. Yeah. It brings up a lot of thoughts. The short answer is it depends on how well you know the piece. Hi. I'm in the middle of something. Hi. You want to come say hi? Come say hi.
Papa.
Hi. Okay.
Who are you talking
I'll be done.
to?
I'll be done in a little bit. Love you.
Who are you
Okay.
talking to?
I'm talking to all the people out there in YouTube land. Okay.
Papa,
I love you, but bye. See ya.
tell me something.
Okay. Tell me later. Tell Mom to text it to me. Okay. Thank you. Bud, thank you.
No, Papa.
But okay.
Am
All right. Everyone.
I going to tomorrow?
So, yes. Okay. Okay. Everybody out there is so kind. All right. Bye. I'll see you in a little bit. Okay. Okay. He had a question for me about school. Okay. There you go. That's Sasha. Say bye. Okay. He waved. Okay. Thank you for your flexibility out there. Let's go to another question here. All right. How often do you change your cello strings? Oh yeah, I definitely have a video about that. And now I change them. I change them less than once a year. Yeah. You know, when I was heavy duty, when I was heavy duty performing a lot and gigging a lot, playing weddings and playing in the bands, I changed them every 6 months, right? I think there's some people out there that maybe change them even more. I've never heard of anybody changing them like once a month. I don't think anybody plays enough to wear them out that fast. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe there are some people out there changing them once a month or once every 3 months. You know, but like I said, even at the height of course, when I was, a college student and you can't afford $300 strings every 6 months, I probably changed them, once a year, or maybe I still did try to change them every 6 months, when the student loan check came in. It depends. I think ideal, all right, dream situation again, is that you would be able to hear when they really have gone out, right? So for me, when the strings start, when they become really difficult to tune, yes, because, strings ring true or they start to ring false and the pitch becomes kind of wavy and it's not real clear what the pitch is and it's like really hard to tune. Now, of course, if you're a beginner and you're not used to tuning and it's difficult to tune, there is, some skill issue involved there, all right? But if you've been playing for a little bit and you're very comfortable with tuning, then and you're not you're just really really having trouble and you keep it on the calendar. Like right now, I know mine are a little bit older than a year, right? I changed them in summer of 2024, right? And they were still sounding pretty good. So, and they're expensive. So I decided actually not to change mine this summer. So they're still sounding okay. Not having any trouble tuning, not hearing that kind of like, wobbliness in the pitch. So, if you change them if you just say, hey, I'm just going to change them once a year, like maybe you play at church a lot, you play a lot at Christmas, or you play a lot at Easter, or whatever that cycle looks like for you. And you may say, okay, I'm going to change them right before this season. So I have fresh strings for, or you play in a community orchestra that plays a lot in the summer. And you say, hey, or maybe you change them at the end of summer because you're playing outside a lot, or maybe you play a lot of weddings and you want to change your strings after they've been out in the humidity or whatever. So anyway, yeah, there's definitely a range. There's definitely a range of correct on that when it comes to changing the strings. All right, let's see. What do you think of graphite cellos? I think you mean carbon fiber. You can definitely hear the difference. I think I've played a carbon fiber. I don't remember. I guess because what's fresh in my memory is the kind of new, well, I guess it's a year or so old, but the Forte 3D printed cello, which is very interesting. So carbon fiber cello, which I think is what you're referring to, is actually shaped like a traditional wooden cello. It's curved on the top, it's curved on the back. It's meant to completely mimic everything about a cello, but just be made out of carbon fiber. The 3D printed cello is actually flat, right? Because it's 3D printed. And it's flat on the top and it's flat on the back. But it has a wooden bridge. It has a sound post. It's set up by a luthier. You can go check it out. Let's see. I got to play one. It was developed by Mike Block, and they're actually really fantastic. Actually, really fantastic sounding. I was like kind of shocked at how good this thing sounds. Yeah, and there's a video somewhere of me playing along on it on this Forte 3D printed cello. Yeah, they're kind of fantastic. If I was, let's see, how much are they? How much is he selling these things for now? The Forte cello. How much is it? How much is it? How much is it? Complete cello outfit is 4,000 or almost 4,000. Blemished but beautiful. Ooh, 2,600. Just the cello by itself is 2,900. If I was playing a lot of outdoor stuff, a lot of weddings like I used to, oh my gosh, I would totally invest in one of these. Like never having to worry about the weather or what's going to happen. Oh yeah, man, these things are fantastic. Anyway, here's a question in the chat. After you change the strings, is there a break-in period? Yes, but it's pretty quick, right? So it really doesn't take long. And really, the break-in period is just about staying in tune. It has nothing to do with the tone. There is no like, oh, your strings sound better after they get played a little bit. They sound better because they stay in tune, right? And so because they stretch. Now, if you're, and I always say let them stretch naturally because it's the stretching and it's the pulling that wears them out, right? I mean, that's the whole reason you have to change them in the first place is when they get too stretched out and they don't work anymore. And so I say you put them on, let them stretch naturally, but like you play on them for 15 or 20 minutes, you retune it, they're pretty much done, right? Now, if you were putting on a string in a concert, like you break something and you're having to go back on stage and you absolutely need it to stay in tune, like right then, you can give it a tiny little stretch, stretch it artificially there, and boom, it's done. It'll stay in tune, because I've done that, like, with my students and we're like out somewhere at a festival or something, somebody breaks a string and we're about to go perform and we need that string to stay in tune. I'll just, I'll grab it down here, at the end of the fingerboard near the bridge and just pull it and just give it a little stretch all along it, all the way up to the nut near the pegs, and then it's good to go. That's it. It's all ready. Let's see. Do you have advice for a live setup with miking and effects like on the cello? Economic options preferred. For most of my years playing in the band, playing in both bands, the church band and in the Blue Galaxy String Project, I did go with the realist pickup that goes under the foot of the cello, right? So, and actually, I think here in one of his videos, I think that's what Mike Block here on the forte3d.com, I think that's what he's using. Well, there's one video here where he has a mic. I think when he's like has like drums and guitar and everything. Is he using a realist? Let's see. What is he using? Cello accessories. Is he using a realist 3D? I don't know. I have to look. Wolf stoppers. Maybe he says somewhere on here. But that's what I used forever. Let's see. Realist 3D. Let me find a link. And you just plug it in, and you can plug, if you're in a live situation, you can plug straight into an amp. Realist cello pickup. It's found in lots of places. Let's see. My favorite. They're always big supporters of the community. And Asta Electric Violin Shop. let's see here. Cello pickups. Where is it? David Cage, realist. David Cage, realist. Where is it? Oh no, this is the clip. There's one that you can clip onto the bridge where you don't actually have to take the bridge and the strings off. We're actually using that one in class. Dun dun dun. Oh, here it is. Now this is $250. The other one that you don't, so you have to actually, loosen the strings, lift the bridge, and put this guy under the bridge foot. But this is what I used forever. Yeah. And once you get used to doing it, it's not so bad. Now there's another one, it's more expensive, since you asked about price, that you actually just tighten onto the bridge. You don't have to move anything. And we use that one on the bass, and it sounds pretty fantastic. Yeah, it's really great. And I heard this one at the ASTA conference. I heard this one that I'm talking about, the clip. I heard somebody kind of jamming out with this guy, and it sounds pretty good. Of course, it's more expensive because it's more convenient. But yeah, they're really great. I did use, along with the other one, the first one I linked up there, I did use an EQ pedal from Boss, right? Of course, there's like endless pedals for effects and different things on there. But the EQ pedal was pretty indispensable. I really loved playing with the EQ pedal because it, the highs can get kind of screechy sometimes because I was playing through a guitar amp. That's what I could afford. And so if you go with a cheaper amp, right? If you go with a really, really expensive amp, you have something really nice to play through, maybe you don't need the EQ pedal. So it's like, judging. But even when I would go straight like into a board, if there was somebody mixing sound, I would still use the EQ pedal just so I had a little bit of control over the volume and had my own, so that I could have some say in the tone quality. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. Let's see here. Oh, you're most welcome. Yeah. I hadn't thought about the EQ pedal in a while, but yeah, it was great. Yeah. Loved using it. Oh, the next question here in this list, what do you think of electric cellos? I haven't played a ton of them, and they've come a long way. I prefer the acoustic instrument with the pickup. I mean, I love the feel of it. Sometimes the electric instruments are just, they're too, I don't know the word I'm looking for. Not muffled. Not muffled, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because I played on acoustics with pickups on them. Maybe that's why I like them better. And I noticed Mike, who's the founder of Forte 3D, who plays a lot of electric stuff, right? He's playing all different kinds of styles and playing all over the place. I noticed that he exclusively plays with his acoustic instrument because it's 3D printed, but it's an acoustic instrument with an electric pickup on it. And maybe some of that is just feel, right? Because even in a band live situation where you're playing through, monitors and amps and everything, you still can hear the original source of the sound there from the F holes. And so I think maybe that's part of it. It's just the whole sensory so that not everything is coming from speakers. Yeah. So I don't know. I maybe I need to play some more electric cellos the next time I'm at the conference when I'm out there in San Francisco. Maybe I'll make a point to do that because Yamaha makes them. I did play one. Oh, who's the one that I did play and I did like? I'm gonna forget the name of it. I believe it's the one that Cello Doll plays, right? Who she's fantastic. Yeah, she plays. I'm forgetting the brand. It's terrible. NES. Yeah, NES has been making electric instruments for a long time. Sorry, NES, if you're out there watching, but they are really fantastic. A lot of people play their instruments. Yeah, they're a great choice. I believe also fellow YouTuber. So Cello Doll plays one. I believe Jonathan Humphreys also plays on NES. If you're thinking about electric cello. So I would go check out their channels because they've done a lot more with them than I have. Here's a question in the comments. Do you know any good books about the cello, the instrument itself, or cellists or composers for cello? Oh gosh. Oh, David said NS cello. There you go. Why did I say NES? Is it NS? It's NS, right? Wait, hold on. NS electric. He is correct. NS Designs, also on the Electric Violin Shop. So if you click those links for the clips that I put in there, all right, NS Designs, yeah. Oh yeah, and it's like sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out. Well, that tells you something right there. Very, very popular choice for electric instruments. Okay, but yeah, go check out Jonathan and Cello Doll, because they have a ton of stuff about NS Design instruments on their channels, and they're both fantastic. Love them both to death. All right. Good books about the cello. There's one by Alex Zanian that I have on my shelf that, of course, like everything else, I wish I had read more often. And there's another one I actually found in a resale shop that I will post a link to later. It is not down here. It is up in the living room. But the famous one by Alex Zanian, if you're interested in this sort of thing, let me go grab it off the shelf. I'm still here. Where is that book? It's like a complete book of cello technique. I will find it. I will link it up there. Yeah, Alex Zanian. I'm gonna put his name there. From the Romantic era. Let me see if I can actually find a link to his famous cello technique book. Because it's a good one. Ah, yes, Complete Cello Technique. It's a very famous book. 1 second here. Wait a minute. What am I doing? Hold on. Oh, there we go. That's what I was looking for. So there's the Alexanian book. And actually, there's another one here before you order that one. Amit Peled, who was on the channel, the cello professor at Peabody Conservatory, has a book called The First Hour, like the cellist daily regimen that he has for sale. Okay, and there's a link to his book, all right, which is also fantastic. But yeah, the Alexanian one's been around for a while. Amit has this one. Of course, it's always great to read a book by a living cellist. And possibly you can even go on his website and ask him some questions about it. And he also talks about it. So the interview that's posted here on this channel, he does talk about his book there a little bit in the interview. All right, so if you want to go maybe watch some of that and find out about it, about what he said, it's just about the daily stuff to do. Cellist daily technical regimen is what it says there on the cover. Other books about cello. I'm trying to think if I can think of the title of the one I have upstairs. It's like a history of cello book. It's quite fascinating. Oh, here it is. Do you know any good manufacturers of fractional sized cellos for small children? What is the best age to start small children? Your mom was playing for President Kennedy at age 6 or 7. Yes, he was. Quite a famous performance. You know, for fractional sized instruments, I mean, you have to pay, you know, to get there. There are nicer ones out there, but you have to pay a lot of money for them, and then your kid grows out of it in a year or two, you know, at the least, right? Maybe even faster, right? Because they have growth spurts. And so they might, you know, they could be in a certain size for like 2 years, maybe a little more than 2 years. They could be at some size for 6 months. And then you've spent thousands of dollars on an instrument you can't get rid of because not very many people want to spend a lot of money. Now, if you have, you know, a Prodigy or something like Yo-Yo Ma, and you need like just a fantastic eighth size or quarter size cello, you know, then I guess you go for it, you do it. What most of us mere mortals do is find a good string shop. Don't go online. Love online. Love being online. You know, of course, love YouTube. Love being here. But as far as like buying an instrument sight unseen, you guys know how I feel about that. Big no. Go to a shop. Go to a shop so that you can hear it, so you can see what it sounds like. Because, you know, you just have to find one that, you know, plays decent, sounds decent. Probably best to rent. You know, a lot of shops will do like rent to own, or they'll give you credit for your rental so that when you do finally get to that point where you want a different size or a full size or whatever, you can use some of that rental money or whatever you've accrued at that shop. Everybody's policy is different, so you have to ask them, you know, before you sign and before you do the rental. Find out what the policy is on applying rental fees towards purchase, and, you know, is it a rent to own? What, you know, that's the best route to go. There's no specific brand of cello. There's no specific maker. It's as far as fractional size, like find one you can live with. Find one that makes a decent sound. Go to your favorite string shop, your local luthier, play them. As far as what age, I mean, you can start them as young as you want, as long as you're willing to sit down and practice with them. You know, I saw Sasha come in here a minute ago. He started violin last year, but of course, he doesn't know how to practice on his own, right? Because he's 5. And so we have to sit down and practice with him. And I mean, really, though, even at age 10 or 11, you need to sit down and practice with them. So it's how much time do you as a parent or a grandparent or whatever have to devote to make sure that they are practicing correctly. That's the name of the game, right? It's not about, you know, I mean, there are kids who start as young as 3, right? But, you know, parents are able to practice with them continually all the time, every day, so they can make some progress. Now, the older they get, you know, the more you can get. You know, you still have to practice with them, like I said, when they're 10, 11, 12, but you can get a lot done in 15 minutes, right? You know, like with Sasha, he's 5, you know, we sit down, we have like a complete 30-40 minute practice session, and, you know, we're figuring out how to, you know, get a finger down or pluck one string at a time or that kind of thing, or just hold the bow and make a decent sound on an open string, right? So it's like, and everybody's tolerance level is different on that, right? You know, as a string player, as a professional musician, I understand the benefit of it, and I know where it's going, and I'm committed for the long term. So I'm willing to spend 40 minutes to get one tiny little pepperoni pizza rhythm on the open D string, because I know what it's going to lead to. But if that's going to frustrate you and everybody's just going to get upset, well, then maybe you need to wait, right? I didn't start cello till I was 11. So, maybe start them on piano where you can like really some uh, hear some progress. You get to play some tunes. All right. With piano, you don't you're not thinking about tone and intonation, right? That's why a lot of people start on piano. You get all that good tonal pitch in your ears, and then start cello, or violin or whatever a little bit later when you can have some more functional progress. I hope that answers the question. It's a great question. But man, everybody's situation is different. And that's not me just skirting the question, but it really does depend on your patience and your tolerance level and how committed you are to the long term. Because you can burn out. You can start them too early, and then they're not quite ready. They're not ready to be focused for that long, and it's not a positive experience. I mean, that's real stuff, is wanting them to have a good positive experience. Of course, nobody likes to practice. Nobody ever wants to practice. You have to make them practice. Doesn't matter what age they are. But it can go, one of two ways, positive or not positive. So yeah, there's some variables to weigh there. I hope that I hope that helps. That's definitely a big question. Still a big question. What age to start? I think Cole, the older one, maybe started a little bit earlier, like 4. But he was able, back then he had spent quite a bit more time with his grandmother, who's a professional pianist, and they had played piano a lot. And Sasha's playing piano too as well, but yeah. So yeah, you got to practice with them. I mean, that's the Suzuki way anyway. Parents in the room taking notes, and then remembering the notes and being the professional reminder at home. Being the professional reminder at home to so that kids can remember what they're doing. Right? Because like the younger they are, the less detail oriented they are. Of course, back to this whole YouTube journey, while we're here celebrating 10,000 subscribers today, this is one of the reasons I created the YouTube channel, is so people would have resources, so that, if you've forgotten some details or you want to know more about something and you're in a household where the parents are not musicians, or a kid is practicing, or they're going to lessons, and, the parents are both, working a lot, right? We have so many more households now in our day and age where both parents are working constantly, and who has time? Nobody has time to practice with the children. And so, we have YouTube as a supplement, as a resource to go on and find out information to help us learn. It's fantastic. I mean, it's a game changer, and that's why I love doing it, because I know it's helping people out there. Because every situation's different, right? Every situation's different. So anyway, all right. I got time for a few more here. Let's see. Oh, this is a great one. I'm going down this list. This is a great list, by the way. What do you think about other genres? Folk, bluegrass, jazz. Love them. I've played them all. Broadway, rock, contemporary Christian, jazz, blues. I really do like them all. They're fantastic. Classic rock. Played a lot of Zeppelin there in the band. If you have a chance to play some different styles, do it. How much did a cellist charge for paid gigs? Ooh, depends on where you are. I got paid more in Alabama than I ever got paid in St. Louis. Why? Because there's not as many string players. There's not as many groups. So, yeah, it's almost twice as much. And I don't know what it is now, but there's a lot of amateur groups or semi-professional groups here in St. Louis. There's a lot more competition, a lot more people, but a lot more competition. And so playing a wedding here pays a lot less. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Than it did in Alabama. So, like, of course, I haven't played a ton of weddings here. I've had more private students here in the St. Louis area, and really gotten going with teaching. But, like, when I left Alabama, the standard rate was kind of around $200 a piece to play a wedding. Of course, that was 15 years ago. here in St. Louis, the last time I played, when it's been quite a while, pre-pandemic actually, like 125, 150, right? Or less. Actually, I did play Wedding with a duet, and because I got this really, really great violinist. My wife wasn't able to do it. I got somebody else to play with me, and she was fantastic. And I did charge them $200 a piece for that. But I told them, like, this is going to be the best string duet you've ever had or ever seen at a wedding. Anyway, yeah, it depends on where you are. Depends on where you are. Depends on where you are. And it's also based on time. Let's see. How often do gigging cellists work typically? Oh gosh, that's that's different for everybody. I wish. This is where we need a YouTube roundtable. We need some of the other cello YouTubers on here that actually are gigging cellists to answer that question. I would love to know what they would say. I mean, some of them are out there playing every night. Some are playing on weekends and just teaching during the week. That was kind of me, right? Because when I was in Montgomery and I was teaching at the high school, play a couple of weddings on Saturday, or maybe I would drive to Birmingham from Montgomery to play with the band, once or twice a month. Just depends, Of course, lots of churches in the area that, of course, that's the same in St. Louis too, hiring, during the high holy days, when there's lots of special music for services. So just depends on what you're doing, who has your name out there. All right. Any advice on the right chair height for a student, a 6-year-old? They are sitting in a chair. Oh, I put this one in here. If they're sitting in a chair where their feet don't place on the floor, is it okay if their feet don't touch the floor? I actually had a student in here just yesterday, and his feet are not touching the floor. We decided to graduate. So I use these IKEA stools that I shave the legs off of. And he came to me, started lessons this summer. Not a beginner, but just first time in lessons. And I was like, let's sit in this chair for the summer so we can really feel what the cello is like. And so I do, in the beginning, a custom height chair is really great. But see, I know he's now playing at school, right? And having to sit in a taller chair. So we actually set him up yesterday. I was like, I want to make sure that you're sitting correctly at school, or as best as you possibly can. And actually, his feet are not touching the floor. So, but he's had the benefit all summer of sitting in a correct height chair, a custom height chair, where his feet were on the floor. And so this makes a huge difference, right? It's like you can overcome an instrument that's a little too big, a chair that's a little too tall, if you've had the experience of you have this home base of what things are supposed to feel like, right? I did that with a student last summer. He came to me and he had a full-size cello, had no business with a full-size cello. And so I said, okay, for the summer, let's play on a 3/4, and just so we can feel what that feels like, right? To play on the right size one. And he did it, and he got much better. And then, at the end of it, he went back to his full size, and everything is just better. And of course, he grew over that time as well. But just having that home base, that foundation, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like, then you can kind of work around the variables that are working against you. I hope that makes sense. The short answer is yes. It's okay if their feet don't touch the floor if they're able to, if they have the right size instrument, if the instrument's not too big. If their feet aren't touching the floor and the instrument's way too big, or it's a size up, then there is a chance the instrument's going to fall to the floor because they're just not in control of it the way they should be. So yeah, there's some danger there of destruction. So I would recommend feet on the floor. I would recommend feet on the floor if you can, or I would recommend some kind of period of adjustment, like I said, where we have a great foundation. All right, and the last one that I actually wrote down here: how can I fix my pinky from going straight? I think this was a left hand pinky thing. I love this. A straightforward question. How can I fix my pinky? Elbow height. That seems to be the thing that makes the difference for folks, because I see a lot of this here lately where the fingers like coming up and it's like doing this weird, like these fingers and like this pinky's like rounded and coming in, like actually coming back towards the scroll. It's very strange. And so we're constantly playing around. Remember, elbow height is negotiable. And so I negotiate this elbow height to help me get my fingers to curve or not go straight or whatever. Because if this is down here, right, and my wrist is doing something kind of wonky, well, it's hard to control this pinky. Yeah. Another thing we were doing with a beginner yesterday was, or on Thursday, was just some jumping jacks, right? Just like moving this finger with curvature, not pressing down all the way yet, right? But just practicing, because this is the problem, is that we have to move our fingers and we have to put them down, and then we press really hard because we're trying to get the string down, and this guy goes straight, or it collapses like this, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to move it and release it and raise it and keep it curved. So actually, this very simple exercise to start to build the muscles correctly is just to raise and lower. And when I'm doing this, I'm doing it very lightly. If I was doing this actually on the cello, I'm not pressing the string down all the way. I'm just like raising my hand and lowering it back down and raising it and lowering it back down, just so that I start to build up this dexterity of keeping the finger curved while I'm moving it. Great exercise, because the student was struggling with the same thing. Like the finger was doing the what I call the jut, where it's like straight and then it curves at this one knuckle, right? She was really having a hard time with it. And so we're doing this, and it's like, oh, now this finger is starting to stay curved as it comes toward the string. And then eventually we're going to press that string down a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, right? Until we can get the string down and stay curved. We're going to build that muscle up correctly by doing it slowly and very deliberately. And also making sure we start with pits, because that's going to let us know if we got the string down all the way. And if we're plucking, this is a much easier task for our right hand. If we're trying to think about the bow hold at the same time, there's like so much to think about over there that we're having a hard time really focusing, because if you're having trouble keeping this curved, focusing on it to keep it curved takes a lot of your mental energy and attention. So pluck, 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 pluck. All right. It's going to let you know instantly by the tone if you got the string down all the way, and it's going to allow you to really focus. Yeah. It's going to allow you to really focus. All right. Oh, that's awesome. Yes. Well, thanks for hanging out here. That's all the ones I have written down here. We are at the top of the hour. What other questions do you guys have? And I'll just say again how grateful I am for this community and for reaching 10,000. And it's just I just can't say it enough. I'm so excited and happy, and I'm excited for what's coming in the future. I think I've mentioned a couple of times that I do have something in the works, a publication. That's all I'll say. Some new stuff coming to the website. Some of it I actually already have written down. I presented at our own little summer Moasta conference, and I'm very excited. I think, and it's something I've been working on here with some students here in the studio. So they are getting the sneak peek here, my live in-person students. But I'll say it's all about the right hand. It's all about the right hand. Oh, good. Was this like a? Oh, you said bow hold. Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah, I'm so glad. Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, that's what it's there for. That's everything. It's like if somebody's watching and it's helping them, that's everything. That's like the whole reason to do all of this stuff. So that makes me so happy. But yeah, sorry. Right hand. Speaking of bow hold and right hand, so what I'm working on is all about the right hand and the bow. Yeah. So I am super excited about what's coming. I'm super excited to be working on it, and yeah. I don't know when it'll be out. I don't know when it'll be out. Maybe in the summer, or maybe at the beginning of next school year. So, of course, these things are always more involved than you think they're going to be. So, but it's in the works. So. All right. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for hanging out here on the live stream. We'll have to do another one of these. We'll have to do another one because I'm glad I finally got to some of these questions. All right. If you have other questions, you can always email me. You can email me. You can put them in the comments section there on the channel. And I will see you guys in a future live stream, future video. All right. Here's to another 10,000.